Hello, Talia.
Hi, Oren.
Can you share a little about the motivation of the work?
This work is about meditation, and it is an important process, but it has lots of challenges. And we ask ourselves, what is the role of technology in this domain? Would this benefit to the meditation process, or would it interfere to this introspective process? So we designed and implemented a new wearable device that is dedicated to use during meditation. It provides feedback of targeted heat to its users, and we were inspired by the Somaesthetic appreciation design methodology. In our design, we had some iterative process of designing multiple prototypes until we finalized our final prototype.
Yes, so we use the heater pads. It's called polyimide heater pads. It's inserted into a very delicate fabric. We find out in the design process and also for prior literature that first of all, heat is perceived internally. And that because heat can be habituated, we use cycles of heat. So the heat goes from low heat to higher heat. And the cycle proved to be very relevant for the study. So we try to think which modality is the best. And the goal is to create introspection. And we learned from prior work like the warm mind or like the somamat that warmth does lead to introspection. We try to differentiate our work, thinking what is really most useful for meditation, and we chose to focus on targeted warmth, like a single pixel of warmth that people can place anywhere they want around their body. And the advantages become amazing for meditation because the heat is perceived internally, so it doesn't feel like a distraction. And because it's isolated to one specific point, people can self-explore and put it on any locations they desire on their body.
We conducted a qualitative study with 20 participants. They had varied background in meditation, some less than a year, some none, some 7, some more than 7 years. So it was very wide variety of experience levels. They all came to the lab. We made it all very quiet with meditation pillows and benches, and we make sure the room temperature is nice and everything was cozy and as similar as possible to a retreat or meditation classroom. They each meditated for 10 minutes, once with the wearable on and once with the wearable off, and it was counterbalance. And then after they finalized the meditation session, we conducted a qualitative interview.
So the findings of the study were really fascinating. The first major theme was about participants' interpretation of the warmth sensation. And the second one was their comments, thoughts about the tension between technology and meditations that are maybe conflicting processes. So from interpretation point of view, there were 4 main themes that were very, very exciting for us. The first one was grounding attention. So the heat really pulled the attention and really helped people avoiding distracting thoughts and placing their awareness and attention back on their body. The second category was motivation, motivating. People felt that the heat in some way motivated them to continue the practice and not stop, like a guide or a person that is there helping them to continue. The third theme was about comfort, comforting, feeling of intimacy, comforting, maybe even like a hand placed on the body, and the warmth creates this association of a very intimate connection with someone else. And the fourth category was the expected one, which we call therapeutic feelings, that people felt that the heat probably soothed some muscle tension and made them feel a little more therapeutic. Regarding the other categories, the other themes that I mentioned of the tension between technology and meditation, this one was very deep and very interesting for us.
It was a very interesting point participants raised about the tension between technology and meditation. And I think one main leading thought was that meditation is hard, but this is how it should be. And you don't want to make the meditators be passive in the process. But they concluded that they did not feel passive in the process. So they said that this is an interesting tool to work with, but maybe as a transitory aid, but not as permanent for some. While others said that they experienced an interesting challenges that they never felt before, and it was an interesting new scope that they suddenly discovered that they wish to keep and exploring more. Another point that was raised about some other scope of meditation that are playing with this thin line between fear or pain or pleasant, and how you deal with this emotion. And it was a very interesting exploration that was provided because of this targeted warmth sensation. So broadly speaking, participants said that it is an interesting tool to keep exploring.
So our work has several design recommendations or design guidelines in the field. The first one is to design for self-exploration of feelings and emotions. So the emphasis here is about self-exploration. When we create a prototype for our users, we want them to be able to appropriate it, to self-explore. In our case, it's the position and the location of the wearable on their body. This is a differentiator from prior works that did not allow for self-exploration, but gave a somaesthetic heat-induced experience that is fixed. So we believe self-exploration is critical. The second recommendation is to encourage multiple interpretations. A lot of us in the field design feedbacks, and when feedback is too specific, people will follow it. We believe that feedback should be abstract, should be generic, in a way that really encourages self-exploration. In our case, the warmth is so abstract, people interpret it, as we saw, as different things, as comfort, or as grounding attention, or as therapeutic, which is exactly the multiple interpretations we looked for. The third recommendation is about the materials. Choose materials that are appropriate. In this case, the material we used are fabrics and other soft materials that are highly relevant and are already found in meditation, like pillows, blankets, etc. And the last milestone is really, the last recommendation is really to embrace the tension between technology and meditation. In this case, the self-resilience and the technology resilience tension in that sense. We believe this tension can be balanced by allowing people to appropriate, to self-explore, to give it their own meaning. That's exactly what allows people to embrace this tension and work with it rather than be distracted by it.
So our findings show that the targeted warmth have the possibilities to encourage self-exploration around bodily sensations and feelings and emotion. And we hope that it can encourage ACI designers to think about the technologies that are more holistic, respectful to mind and body connection, while also being respectful for traditional practices and knowledge.
Okay, Talia, I want to really thank you for taking part in this amazing project. You were both a leader and a contributor, and it was just wonderful to work with you on this project.
Thank you, Oren, for leading us in this project. It was a very enjoyable journey.
The material we used are